Welcome, Dena.
Oh, hi. Thank you so much, Tanya. Hello.
Oh my gosh, Dena, I'm so grateful to have you with me today. It's first of all, it's fantastic to see you because it's been a little while for us. It's been 6 months or so.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
I miss you.
I miss you. I miss you.
So I want to introduce you sort of formally to our audience and to our listeners today. We'll have this up as a video and also on our podcast. So Dena Crowder is a power catalyst. You're a spiritual coach, primarily for founders and CEOs, which makes total sense to me because you're such a powerhouse. And you work with people really, though, who are moving into their deeper sense of purpose and aligning themselves on their own hero's journey. Use is your language, whatever that I imagine means for them. And you wrote a book with us at Somatic Writing. I mean, you've been writing it. You're still in process too.
Yes, yes.
First, Deborah, and coming up on your final for your first draft after having a year with me and Courtney as well. So welcome. Like, I'm so delighted to have you here and introduce you to our people. And I would love for you to just jump in maybe and start. I remember that first call with you, by the way, and where I was. And well, I immediately knew you were magical and really powerful. You were telling me about some of your amazing experiences in life.
Yes.
And you knew it was time for you to write the book.
Yes. Yes. Well, first of all, let me let anybody watching this know Tanya, a trickster, okay? Because she seems like such a nice lady. And she's going to help you write that book you think you're going to write. She's not going to help you write that book. She's going to help you write a better book that no idea was in you, and that at first you really do not want to write. But there it is. There's the fearlessness. It is a precipice that I've found we stand on when we go through your lab, when we follow your sequencing, taking us through the archaeology, digging, and the architecture, building of somatic writing. And then we get an opportunity to choose. And that choice is courage. Really, it is a question of, is it more interesting to you, powerful, fulfilling, to stay in a bit of hiding, right? To have a little bit muted between you and the full potency of your message. And maybe you can write a 7 steps to blah, 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 and get some clients. Or, right? And believe me, there were days when I was having a crying Jag Scarlett O'Hara style. I just want to write a 7 steps to blah, blah, blah. Why can't I be normal like a normal coach? Oh, the coaches write a 7 steps to blah, blah.
Oh God, Dena, I love you. Yes. That is it. And that is the ego. And it feels real safe. And it feels like then I'll be in control, right?
Yeah, I'm in control because if I write a book that fits into this very well-trod genre that we know how to market, that we know how to sell, and
Capitalism 101.
Yeah, and that fits also into the wonderful ego package of, you can write this in a weekend. You can write this in 30 days. You don't even have to write this. In fact, let me ghost write it for you. Just write me a check.
That's right. That's right. Which doesn't ask. Yeah, and people do make that choice all the time if they
make
can.
it all the time.
Terrible opportunity wasted to write through the mess and allow the mess, because there is such gold. I just love everything you said. Thank you for saying it, because it really challenges a lot of assumptions out there And
Yeah.
people may write a book, like you said, with their 7 steps. I mean, I'm not opposed to steps. I teach some 9 steps master classes and whatnot, and we can have those frameworks. That is not the work, and it's not what we're all longing for.
Right.
From our own souls and really from each other, right?
Yes. Yeah, it isn't. It has its place, but that becoming the absolute standard by which everything is assessed and judged, and everyone having to shoehorn themselves into that kind of a tight, rigid, and I'm going to use man mode, which is not gender specific, but we all know what that means, right? Into this man mode in order to sell before you've gotten your message. Do you know the original word spell, when we talk about, oh, you're under a spell, it meant in Old English story. A spell is a story.
Yes.
And it's a message. And then even in the 10th century, you had bishops who were kind of fire and brimstone, and the really hot and trendy and viral ones created these spell books, and they would pass out these spell books which had these fiery sermons in them telling everybody how they were sinning and going to hell. But the point was to influence people, to give them a story, to influence their behavior. And I contend that we are under a collective spell. And we could say that the villain in this spell is this conditioned identity.
That's right.
And the conditioned identity, which we have had more than 100,000 hours of brainwashing. Oh, I mean, listening.
All the institutions.
Yes, by the time we reach the age of 21, all of those things, that it's what you're describing about your niche and your calling in helping people write their spells, their books, their stories, to, in my language, break the spell of the old that is no longer working. It's part of that. It's breaking the hold that the conditioned identity has. And so when we see these very rigid formats, it's part of the conditioned identity. What we're told is okay, what we're told to want, what we're told makes us successful. I cannot tell you how many women think that they are not successful if they don't check the exact boxes in man mode and don't allow themselves to ever touch the places in themselves that are yearning, or as you said, longing to have attention, because they're so terrified that if they listen to those places and follow through, that it will render them absolutely worthless.
Well, and it will for a while.
Yes.
That's the thing. And we hold with the deconstruction because it can feel that way, and the shame and the feelings from all the conditioning, from all these structures, whether we, institutional, educational, patriarchal, right? All those can we hold with the discomfort to allow this deeper voice that sometimes is only a whisper in the beginning, only a spark, like calling us to this intimacy, with ourselves first. And I just love everything you've just said, because you've broken it down, in such a thing of like, yes, can we break the spell? Like, and that these are indeed spells, and the power in breaking them is there as the opportunity then to write new ones, which you're doing with your book, and you've done so beautifully, with your book, and I know you've been working with one-on-one with Deborah on our team too, who just adores you, and we all believe in you so much. We love you so much. Can you talk a little bit about how the process, once some of this liberation and opening to through the tears, through the deconstructive process, through and now to the rebuilding, what that's been like for you, and how this book is for you turning out, and how it's been surprising you, and maybe connecting it with a vision that is emerging, because with new spells, with these books, with these new calling cards of our stories in the world, we are offering ourselves in a new way. And I'd love for you to share about, like, how that story's playing out.
Yeah. Well, two things that I want to mention. One is, you have a phrase that you use frequently, which I absolutely adore, and it is, be willing to be surprised. So I'm going to talk about a couple of surprises. One was when you had us try our hand at a prologue in the beginning stages of the lab. The first line of that prologue was, I don't want to write about. And it was, that was really, I think, the real start, the launch of the writing, because we had done a lot of preliminary writing before. But then when you gave that assignment to write the prologue, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna die. They're just gonna find me laying on the floor in here like a fruit roll up. They're gonna peel. I'm not even kidding. That week or two when you had given the assignment, that's really the mind, the identity is very formidable. It does not like to be stretched and challenged, and it will tell you, you're gonna croak, this will kill you, don't write this. So that is how the process started. I don't want to write about, but you know what, it was super helpful, because allowing myself to go through that portal of what I don't want to write about opened up that deeper story. And I wrote a prologue. And for that time, it was amazing. It was just like amazing. There was a lot of strong writing, and I got to see the themes that the book would be taking me into. I did not, however, yet see the central metaphor, which is another term for those who are watching, another Tanya term, the central metaphor of the book. It required me to actually just keep writing, and not blindly or blithely, because all the themes were there, that to find it, but I couldn't articulate it yet. And it was only after, maybe I got into the center of the book that I really could see the arc, and I could say, oh, okay, here's the central metaphor. This is what it is. And then I went back after chapter 31, I think, and rewrote the whole beginning. So that was, that's part of the process, is
totally. And something I'm sure totally new emerged, or you were coming around to it from a different
something that totally new emerged. It, your first prologue may not be your final prologue.
That's right. And to surrender to that process, right? We're getting back to what the ego, or you've got the book in, it's, usually 90 days, and I'm still like, no, there's not time even for that discovery, integration, right? To come back is so much a part to revisit, I love that, Dena.
Well, there was so much fear. I've got to get this perfect prologue. The perfect prologue. The perfect prologue.
And perfectionism is always based in shame, right?
Yes. It's the voice of the oppressor. And
exactly. Beautiful.
know that that's what's going on. We think it's about excellence, but it's really about hidden shame. And then I wrote the prologue, which was really great, but after moving on, as you said, I revisited and saw, oh, I think it wants to start differently.
Mhm.
I think it wants to start with a different scene. And who knows, it may change again. And that's okay. It's okay for it to evolve. It's okay for me to be in creative process. And it's okay for me to work from this point on in a way that is collaborative and that goes with my Aquarian nature
Mhm.
and like the best way that I create, which many people have said, oh, that's crazy. You can't let people into your process, but that's part of what we do in the lab as well, as we let people into
Totally.
our process.
And I think it's very much for me about decolonizing the writing process, because when
Mhm.
people think it's once again to pull ourselves up by the bootstraps, do it alone, and actually even in a class setting not be influenced by each other, we're an ecosystem, we're a root system, and I never think that there's any mistake who's in there.
Mhm.
Whether you like some people more, resonate this or that it's an ecosystem that is bigger than
Yeah.
any one of us, right? And takes us out of that old, almost like school too. I had a lot of school trauma of put your head down, do it alone, turn it in, try to be perfect, succeed in that, fail in that, wherever people are on the spectrum. This like, the beauty of like, and this, I talk about surprises of right community support, which to
Mhm.
me is so much more than what I could give alone, or even with my teachers, we could give
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah. It's a shameful thing to have support, to be collaborative. I hear this from women all the time. Dena, I don't want to have a crutch, right? I don't want to have a partner. I don't want to have an accountability buddy. That's a crutch. I should be able to do this on my own. And when they say it, they don't realize that they have internalized ideas that are really powerless for them, that are not
Very
going to
limiting, right? Very limiting.
lead them to the next stage that they want to go to.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, and it goes so deep.
yeah.
It goes so deep. So how about you, as you've expanded your own vision, right? And are writing and in all these collaborative spaces, what is your vision for the book?
I'm going to tell you my vision, but I have to tell you the other big surprise
Yes.
was that it is being structured and arranged in 59 chapters to match the 59 beads on a rosary.
Which I just love. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Deborah and I have chatted about it, of course, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's so beautiful.
And it's not I want to be a Catholic Book of the Month Club thing. It's not about any religion or dogma.
Yeah.
It is about a complete journey where you take your beads, your stories, in my case, all of these different stories, string them, and they become a complete heroine's journey, a complete story, a complete spell. And they are also an offering,
So beautiful.
a devotional offering, because one of the visions that I have for this book is to awaken people to the possibility of their own inner power, to
Mhm.
embodying living power, and to recognizing that we cannot solve any of this madness that's going on in the world. And all of the systems that people say are broken are actually working as designed. It's just that
Exactly.
they were not designed to support the environment and the conditions that we have today. So they look broken, but really they're working as designed and they need to be redesigned. But we can't do that simply using the tools that we've tried in the past. We can't do that using the consciousness that we've used in the past, or the one that we're stuck in now, which is based on all these systems running on the wheel of fear and scarcity. So my vision is that people see this and realize, oh, something's missing. And I'm saying it's living power, looking through that lens. And I'm also saying it's an attitude of prayer, which again, I'm not talking about the hallelujah, beg and beseech kind of thing. It is really a universal understanding that we are here as an offering. And you're meant to connect to your living power, your purpose, because you have one, and to offer that, to make your life a prayer. And if we can change the approach that we have and recognize we can't just solve all these big problems without some sort of spiritual connectivity.
I love that so much. And I love the kind of rewriting of the rosary. I feel a very deep connection to the rosary as well. And that sort of came late in life. And my father was Catholic, but a mystic, also sort of an unacknowledged mystic, I think. And I love the rewriting of these, of sort of the beauty and the sacred you're speaking of, without dogma. And that alive prayer to me is like an alive story. It's in like all of these things you're speaking of and the way they weave together in your work, and the breaking the spells, but rewriting the spells with that sacred structure. It's also it's big magic. It's
it is. We need big magic. I mean,
we need big magic.
We need it really badly. We do.
And tell me a little bit about what's next for your book and your process that you're in right now, and vision, and anything else you want to share, because it is big magic, and I want to hear and I want to share with others how that's allowing you to walk it into the world.
Yeah, well, after the first draft, then I will be taking your and Deborah's counsel on the developmental and that process, and once it's ready, I'm not sure yet what the publishing path will be.
But, we'll help you on that.
Yeah, but I will be then moving into that portion of the publishing path. And we talked about the vision for it. It's really to see it in the hands of people who are ready for this message, and to be an ambassador for the message, speaking and teaching those who have really been asking for this.
Totally.
On some level.
Well, and we talk a lot about rewriting the culture, right? And I hear that so strongly. I mean, I see it, feel it, hear it, know it so strongly in you, and your passion for igniting power and catalyzing others, and your vulnerability now, really, and how those two are working so beautifully together in you, in this book, in the weavings, and the way you serve other really powerful women in particular.
Yes, I mean, it's like having a baby. So
But and I love what you said though about the way that you are going to have some readers come in. Will you share a little bit about that, how you're going to get a few people reading this, and your vision for how you're going to do that? Because it's a thing when you start to offer sort of beyond your coaches, beyond your editor, the work in its initial sort of real read through to some people. So please.
Yes. Well, in alignment with practicing what I preach about matching your style, your archetypes, your map, how power maps in you to how you birth and create success, birth things and create success in the world, I've invited a few people to do a living ritual with me around this book. It's going to be an opportunity, of course, for them to read chapters of the first draft and give feedback, but also we're going to be treating these chapters as a living organism that is transmitting lessons and powerful healing and insight to every person who participates. So it's an exchange, and I'm expecting and knowing that not only will the book itself benefit and transform and evolve through that collaboration, but that each woman is going to have her own transformation and evolution through interacting with the work.
I just think that is so profound and such a beautiful vision. And it's a way to be treating your story too, and the book, as the sacred document it really is, and all the energy you've put into it. It's such an honoring of yourself and the work to put it out in that way. I've never heard of anyone doing it like that, Dena, and it's so beautiful. And I'm already celebrating with you, and we'll just say, of course, with us and the book.
Yes.
A big to be continued. And of course, we'll want to support you in our community and be announcing and celebrating when publishing happens. We'll be bringing you back and bringing you in to celebrate and launch and all that good
stuff. We should do a big magic ritual launch.
We can't do it any other way, can we?
I get it. You got to do it big, Tanya. You got it.
Oh, I love it. Well, thank you so much. And I adore you, and big to be continued.
Thank you. This was wonderful.
It was.